Phil Jones wrote an amazing book called Exactly What to Say, and it's filled with these brilliant phrases more geared toward entrepreneurs on exactly what to say. And I wanted to create my own video version of exactly what to say to be a better facilitator. A lot of my work and passion and excitement is around helping people gather better. Because when you've got, let's say, 10 people in a room, every minute you spend together is 10 minutes of human attention. So every hour-long meeting is 10 hours of human attention. And so my goodness, whoever's running that or leading that better be good at ushering that time and allowing people to spend it really, really wisely. Here we go. First of 7 really fantastic suggestions of exactly what to say to be a better facilitator. The first one is something right away. Oh my goodness, how many times have you walked into a meeting and there's been 2 people on their phone and somebody else doing something else and there's no collective experience as you walk in the room. And so as a facilitator, when people walk in, set a really clear intention. Do you want to just say hi to everybody and say, welcome, really glad you're here? Better than exactly what to say, I would say that tip number 1 here is exactly what to do, which is stealing an idea from Mark Collard, this concept of unofficial start. Inviting people in to immediately participate in something. So go ahead and grab a card off the table with a quote that represents something you really care about right now. Or, hey, welcome, can you go ahead and just write on a scale of 1 to 10 on the board how you're feeling right in this moment. You don't need to write your name next to it, keep it anonymous. Right? So the first thing is exactly what to say is something. Invite people in, have a plan for those 5 to 7 minutes before and into the beginning of any gathering. Second facilitator phrase, and these somewhat happen in chronological order, so that. These are magical, magical words to allow the purpose of any meeting or gathering to become immediately apparent. Because if it's not immediately apparent, right, you're like 30 minutes into a meeting, how many times have you been wondering like, why am I here? Or what are we doing right now? Or you're kind of just meandering. And so the idea is add the phrase so that to your intention. So my intention in this meeting is to teach you exactly what to say to be a better facilitator. So that the next 100 hours of gatherings that you're in are a little bit better. You get how that so that what it does is it takes an objective or goal or the top line of a meeting agenda item and stretches it to include what's important to people. You probably care how the next 100 hours of gatherings go. And if there's little tweaks that you can make to make it better. And so just by adding so that, stretching your intention, stretching the purpose of a meeting or gathering, what you're doing is actually creating buy-in. You're inviting more people to say, you know what? I wasn't totally into this Monday meeting, but I'm a little bit more interested now because you've stretched the purpose and it's relevant to me right now. Third magical phrase, you have 100% choice and autonomy in your response. This phrase for me is essential actually. I do a lot of work around questions. My late co-author and partner wrote, and I wrote a book called Ask Powerful Questions. I really love asking questions. I think they're the best prompts possible for human intelligence. And yet not all questions are created equal. One of the most important pieces of asking a group a question or starting a gathering or meeting with a question is reminding people that you have 100% choice and autonomy in how you answer any given question, right? Especially if you're talking about a larger gathering, you have no idea what kind of day people have, month, life, etc. And so when you give people choice, you empower them to chart their own path. Nobody likes to be pushed and cajoled into something. And so as a facilitator, the more choice that I can give people, the more autonomy they actually do have and the more autonomy they feel they have. And so I get more engaged people who are leaning in and raising their hands and participating and sharing and contributing, all because I've actually just given them the choice not to. Or I've given them the choice to share at a level of depth or a more surfacey level based on how much coffee they've had or how they're feeling that day. Okay, little bonus tip related to this last concept of giving people as much autonomy and choice as possible. In my opinion, as a facilitator, you have 2 dials that you can turn back and forth to determine whether or not people participate. Because when we're deciding, when a group is deciding how much do I contribute, how do I show up, they're weighing risk and they're weighing value. How much value will they give the group? How much value will they get if they participate? And how risky is it? So if you ask somebody to share their life story in front of 700 strangers, the risk is very high and the value, depending on the context, like not too high there. And so just think about constantly with all of these tips, how can I dial down the risk and crank up the value? So when I invite people to jump into connection before content or a breakout or anything else, I'm framing it in a way that once they come back from their breakouts, they will all be smarter, right? So it's not like, oh, just connect because I need you to do something. It's not activity for activity's sake. It's like, no, go share an idea that might be useful to somebody else so that when you come back, you have 3 ideas that make you a little bit smarter. One of. This phrase, beautiful. As a facilitator, you want to ask questions and you want to prompt people, and as you're debriefing something or inviting contribution and participation, you want to make your prompts and questions as inclusive and easy to answer as possible, right? So add the phrase one of into your questions. We tend to, for whatever reason, the human brain tends to seek superlatives. So when you meet somebody who just came back from a trip, very few people will say like, what's your 3rd favorite memory from the trip? Right? We always go to what's your favorite food that you've had? What's your what was the worst job you ever had? What was the, right? We go to these like highs or lows and extremes. So you can soften that and make it a little bit easier to respond to by saying, what is one of your favorite memories? What is one of your favorite foods? What is one of your worst job experiences? That little facilitator phrase, one of, immediately opens it up. And so if you feel like sometimes you're fighting crickets or you're facilitating crickets and that's all you're hearing, this can immediately reduce the amount of crickets that you hear. Next tip, we're gonna practice it live. Every year, I take on 1 to 2 really talented, budding facilitators, speaker, author types, and mentor them. And mentoring for me is deeper than just like hopping on a call every once in a while. And so standing behind the camera is Paul. Hi, Paul. And so I'm curious for Paul to shout out, what is one of your favorite facilitator phrases?
What, so what, now what? What are we doing? Why do we care? What do we do with it?
What, so what, now what? And you could even add in there, this is kind of pulled from some of David Kolb's original work around experiential learning. So it's like, what happened? Just debriefing. So this is your like guide to debriefing as a facilitator. It's really magical. It's very easy to remember. So you can even add gut. So what, gut, so what, now what? Those could be your base questions for like, a group has an experience. What happened? How to make you feel? So what? Why does it matter? Let's make some meaning out of it. And then perhaps most importantly, now what? What do we do about it now that we've processed it a little bit? Because the point of facilitation for me is to smooth the process for a group to get where they want to go. And so asking them now what is actually this future-oriented question that allows a group to actually literally talk their way into tomorrow. Okay, before I share the last and perhaps the most golden, universal, easy to apply facilitator phrases or prompts, I want to tap into the wisdom of the internet. What I'd love you to do is, as I'm describing this last tool, I want you to type one of your favorite facilitator phrases of exactly what to say into the comments. And so that the longer this video lives on the internet, the wiser the comments thread actually gets. And while you're doing that, I need to share this. If you want a whole lot more cool facilitator resources for free, printable, etc., check out the link in the description. I believe that ideally information should be free and accessible to everybody. So while I've created a couple of card decks and wrote books that like have a cost attached to them, I also create digital printable versions of them for $0.00. And so feel free to tap into that. This in particular is a new tool. It's a very cool fold-out map that's packed into our connection toolkit. Okay, I could go on about it. Here's your last and final magical, universally useful prompt. What is one of your favorite stories about blank? If you're at a loss and you don't know what to do with a group, or you just need like 5 minutes to prep what's happening next, or you're looking for like the perfect connection before content question and you don't have it, this template question. What is one of your favorite stories about, and then insert the purpose of why you're gathering. And the reason that's so useful is introverts, extroverts, personality, doesn't matter. Stories connect us. There's a neurobiologist named Dr. Andrew Huberman who is actually sharing some research around how heartbeats actually synchronize as you're telling a story. And part of that is probably, right, these stories have these like rising and falls, even if they're a everyday story. that heartbeats actually synchronize. Kind of cool. I haven't read that research myself, so go fact check it. This is the internet, people. Have an awesome day.